Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cubies. Asante sana, thank you, as we say in Kiswahili, for being here. Welcome to all of you, karibuni. My name is Zain Verjee. I am a former CNN television anchor and reporter turned failed entrepreneur. So I'm in the right place. Thank you. I knew this was the only crowd that would appreciate that. When you do a Google search of me, and you go on the internet, or any LLM, what you don't know is that I actually started my career in radio at CNN, in Kenya. And the channel was called 98.4 Capital FM. I was a DJ on the Love Line show. And I gave romantic advice for relationships. And I messed up so many lives. But in my defense, I was just 22 years old. And perhaps this is an example of how artificial intelligence would actually have been better than me. Despite that, I later got hired by CNN International as a news anchor, not a Love Lines advisor, at their headquarters in Atlanta. CNN gave me a ringside seat at the making of history, and I really treasure that opportunity. At pivotal moments, I was able to interview so many world leaders. Funnily enough, in the end, the most frequent question I received from them at major historical crossroads was, "Do you have a husband?" A human connection. Can you imagine those leaders asking that question of AI? When I listened to the optimists and pessimists about AI today, I was reminded by a quote by George Bernard Shaw, who said, "Both optimists and pessimists contribute to society. The optimist invents the airplane, the pessimist, the parachute." Ladies and gentlemen, my sphere of work, communications and media, is facing a massive disruption by AI. But I firmly believe the creativity, critical thinking, and the empathy of humans must be as important as the precision of algorithms. I often wonder, what is the bigger threat to humanity's survival? Artificial intelligence or human stupidity? As Einstein said, and I quote, "Two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity. And I'm not sure about the universe," end quote. Building the guardrails for responsible AI, AI safety, and AI ethics are essential. It's what I'm doing now by building the Rundown.studio. It's an edtech platform for media and communications teams in emerging markets. As a Kenyan, my attention is focused on Africa and how AI gives us the opportunity to level the playing field. There may be significant infrastructure and connectivity challenges for now, but Africa has the greatest talent in potential engineers, product, and design. The continent is in a position to harvest a major demographic dividend. And I urge all of you to look past the negative stereotypes and reports on Africa and invest in the potential of Africa. Come build partnerships with us. Africa knows we need to own our stories, data sets, and technology if we are not to repeat our previous history of physical colonization with data colonization in the digital age. I am so thrilled to be a part of this inaugural ceremony of the Digital Data Design Institute at Harvard and for the innovation prizes referred to as the Cubies. It is now my great privilege to introduce Professor Sunil Gupta. Professor Gupta is the Edward W. Carter Professor of Business Administration at Harvard Business School. He co-chairs the executive program on driving digital strategy. His research delves into how digital technology shapes consumer behavior, business, and society. As a digital strategy expert, Sunil has delivered seminars, consulted for companies including MasterCard, Vodafone, IBM, and Adobe. He currently serves on the board of US Foods and advises several startups where he brings his extensive knowledge of business and technology. Sunil is with us here today in his role as a senior advisor to the Cubies. So everybody, please, a very warm welcome to Professor Sunil Gupta to help kick off the Cubies.
Thank you, Zain. Thank you very much. I should, one thing that you didn't say is Kareem borrowed my hairstyle. When he joined, he was not that way. But thank you to the club, Kareem. So just a bit about my excitement about this particular conference and the work that Kareem and the team are doing in DCube. I've been studying the impact of technology since the start of the internet. And again, my focus is not only what is possible today, but what might be possible tomorrow. And you heard lots of things, for example, the immediate impact that we can see is in the automation, for example, whether it's the chatbots for the call centers or efficiency and productivity gain or removing the not joyful work from the tasks that you have, or hyperscaling and personalization at a massive scale, whether it's millions of ads that you can do or precision medicine that is possible tomorrow, or real-time optimization. So if you talk to the Defense Department, we already know drones are here, but they are now actually investigating the technology where you will have a swarm of drones. So imagine the simulation where the red drones will compete against the blue drones, and they will automatically figure out exactly where the enemy is and which blue drone should attack which red drone. And that simulation is going on, so the warfare of tomorrow will be very, very different. So all those are already possible. But then if you look in the future, I'll give you a sample of where the disruption and transformation of industries might come from. So one simple example of that is a couple of months ago, we had the CEO of a big pharma company came with their top 10 people to HBS, and basically their charter to us was provoke us. So I had a 2-hour session with them, and I started by saying, in 10 to 15 years from now, you may not exist. That certainly provoked them. That made me stop and think. And of course, the question was why? And the logic was very simple, that healthcare is now a combination of science and technology. And as a result, all the big tech companies are coming in. And a lot of the innovations are happening with small biotech companies, not with the large pharma companies. That's why Moderna and biotech came with the vaccine first, not the Pfizer's of the world. Pfizer's partnered with biotech. So if you think about a pharmaceutical company, it has 3 major functions, which is the R&D, with drug discovery, the manufacturing, and commercialization. Now, if R&D is done by small startups and biotechs, and manufacturing is done by factories in India, then what's the role of Pfizer? It's basically doing commercialization. And once you break down the value chain in that fashion, then the question is, all these companies that you see in the industry, they're basically buying these small startups and they're investing. So they're basically, their major role now is big balance sheet and commercialization operation. So think about how the value will shift in the pharma industry, and that can happen in every other field. Right? So that's the kind of changes that we are already seeing, and I think this conference is a great eye view on what is possible in the future. But one of the things we want to do is celebrate also the new innovators all around the world as to what they're innovating at the forefront. And we had a series, a very established and very illustrious group of judges, if you can put it the slide, our judges, to nominate the companies which are at the forefront of the innovation that is happening all around the world. And again, we didn't want to celebrate the well-known companies like OpenAI. Sam Altman doesn't need another prize. He already got plenty in his closet. But we wanted to find the small and perhaps not so well-known companies that are looking for new things, new ways to do this. And we tried to identify into 5 different categories. And those categories we identified was companies that are doing something in a new business model or operating model, thinking differently, companies that are improving performance in some fundamental ways, companies that are doing technology, fundamental changes in technology, Companies are doing that human-centered innovation in technology, and other also companies that are looking at safety regulations. And so those are the 5 categories that we sort of came up with. And then through a process of many of these input from a lot of these judges, we came up with our 5 winners. And Zain now will announce those winners. Over to you, Zain.
Thank you, Sunil, so much. There was an amazing entry of so many innovations and winners. So this is the moment where we want to announce the 5 winners. And we need a little bit of applause, a little bit of energy in this room, please, because this was a big deal. Come on. Thank you. Thank you. The very first award goes to Canamigo for providing personalized guidance and support to students and educators. Canamigo is a high-quality, low-cost learning assistant, and it furthers its mission to make world-class education accessible to all. So congratulations to Canamigo. Woo-hoo! Covariance, congratulations to you. Covariance is a company that is leading the charge in turning academic AI research into real-world value. It delivers insights to businesses and financial institutions by converting raw data into key performance indicators for better decision-making. So bravo to Covariance, and the co-founder and CEO is here. We'll be talking to him. Now, DID. This is a leader in synthetic media, right? Everybody here needs an avatar, right? Or do we? We'll ask him. Congratulations to them. A warm round of applause, too. They have created personalized digital avatars and AI agents that will transform customer interactions. And the company's ethical pledge really tries to combat bias and disinformation. Congratulations also to Jessie Liu, the founder and CEO of Rabbit. Rabbit has developed a large action model system that learns human actions and opens up new possibilities for AI assistants and operating systems. And finally, Dr. Joy Bourlamwini is dedicated to fighting algorithmic bias and promoting ethical AI. She combines research, advocacy, and art to reveal AI's social implications and really tries to focus more squarely on racial and gender discrimination. So congratulations to our 5 winners once again. That's my kind of a crowd. Thank you so much for acknowledging all the effort that's been made and all the blood, sweat, and tears that brought them to this moment where they met it. So thanks once again, and to the judges and all the nominators. We are so thrilled that we have 2 of our winners with us here today to accept their prize. We want them to tell us a little bit more about themselves, their technologies, and their companies, and how they did it. So I'd like to take a moment to welcome back Professor Gupta to the stage to honor our first winner and present his award, Michael Flader, the founder and CEO of Covariance.
Wow. Congratulations, Michael. I need to go around and take the picture of this. This is yours.
Thank you. Congratulations, Michael. Tell us about Covariance.
Companies know about their own operations, what's happening inside their 4 walls. We tell you about the competitor across the street. So in the last 20 years, there's been a ton of work on tech migrations and transformations and companies cleaning up their data and migrating their systems and building CEO dashboards for what's happening inside your business. But if you want to know, let's say you're a restaurant, what are sales at the Sweet Green in Harvard Square? Now, how would you answer that, having had no affiliation with Sweet Green? So to do that, you need to combine lots and lots of different external data sets, biased, problematic data sets, synthesize that together, things that a tiny pocket of Wall Street has been doing for decades, and improve on that, and turn it into simple answers like, what were sales yesterday, and predictions of what will they be about tomorrow? What will they be tomorrow? So we are the operating system for the external world. So everything that a customer does when they leave the store and what's happening at the competition across the street.
So just take us to the build itself. Like, how did you do it?
So it started in, we do have a lot of Harvard folks in the core team. It started in, the research started in my MIT PhD research. So very much from theory to practice. So there's been, in AI, a lot of the problems that you see are about, are where you have a lot of outcomes to learn from. So there might be lots of data sets and there's been a lot of big data problems for decades. But a lot of those problems have a lot of outcomes or labels to learn from. So images of cats that have been labeled as having a cat or not. Or in LLMs, like lots of words to learn from and words to predict. For these types of problems, there's very little ground truths. You very rarely know your competitor's sales numbers. You very rarely know what most of the customers' interactions are not with your business. And so there's very little data to learn from. So you have both a big data problem of lots of things you can buy, but what you know for sure is tiny. And so this imbalance is a completely different category of machine learning AI.
It's like a little data problem.
It's a little data problem, exactly. And so that, and worse, it's time series. You can put all machine learning as a special case of time series. And so fundamentally, it had to start with theory, and then turn into the productionization and productization.
Are you better than Wall Street analysts?
So the work we published was outperformed Wall Street consensus, and while that is a great and the gold standard and great result and a gold standard benchmark, a lot of what folks come to us for are the depth of insight. So it's not just tell me about a quarterly number, but are my competitor sales, where are my customers turning to, or are my competitor sales coming from new or existing customers? So beyond the big course aggregates that Wall Street often tracks, what most folks want to know about is the depth.
How accurate and granular is the predictability?
So we operate at the limit of data efficient learning. So we operate in the space of, so the short answer is vary, and operating at the limits of that. So there are the large aggregates that eventually anything you can measure, but then there's also how do I drill down into what happened yesterday across the street. And there's different levels of, and with all these things, you want to measure produce uncertainty estimates as you build up these hypergranular estimates.
I was looking at some of the research, and you mentioned the use of alternative data sources like credit card transactions and location data to supplement traditional financial data. How do you make sure that we can rely on the data and input that you have in these alternative sources? And is there anything that worries you?
We assume all those data sets are wrong. So some of them are useful. And so Richard Feynman used to say, it's hard to know something. And so you start with the premise that all these data sets, anything that's a panel, has bias, and that bias might change constantly. And there might be litany of other issues with any of these data sets. So you start with the premise that all of the data inputs that you have are problematic. And then from there, you have to build a scientific process to fuse that all together.
Can you just explain that a bit more to us? Because we've all been talking about the issue around bias and data sets. So just unpack that.
Yeah. So for folks unfamiliar, like imagine you have a panel of credit card spending, meaning like a sample of credit cards, and you just see imagine your credit card statement, and but anonymized, so your name is redacted, and you get that on some anonymous sample of cards. And now, which cards, and for how long, and where do they come from, what's the geographic bias, and what are the demographics, and a lot of these questions you won't know. So these are types of problems that occur in panel data. You can't remove that bias without other information. It's not possible to, so if you're given a panel in isolation, you don't have enough information to actually understand what's wrong with it. So you need to bring in other information. And to bring in other information is hard because it might come in very different forms. Quarterly reports from companies, one-off disclosures, human priors, and now you have a problem of stitching together lots of data sources, each with their own idiosyncrasies, each with their own biases and levels of certainty and how close they are to ground truth or not. And now this is a completely different class of problem. And so that process of fusing all these data sets together to triangulate to the truth is what our research enables.
So for everyone in this room, with a wide variety of talents and backgrounds and work, what are some of the varied applications for covariance?
So one of the, to give a concrete example, in food industry, folks, grocers, CPG companies, restaurants, and investors are interested in how consumers are trading off where they're eating. And it's not just, am I eating at Chipotle or Taco Bell? Folks compete for what the words in the industry, share of stomach. It's a common phrase you hear in CPG and grocery. And so, people might trade off eating in a restaurant for eating for prepared meals at a grocer, or making their own meals. And that longitudinal 360 understanding of what are the trends of where consumer, hey, restaurant asks us, hey, am I losing customers to my competition, or are they going to the grocery store? And so that requires stitching together very different sources of information, credit card data, point of sale data, other types of data, to answer a simple question, but stitched together from one of the most complex machine learning processes on the planet into, yeah, folks are eating more prepared meals, they're not going to.
Right. And does it help me identify a demand at each level that will help me determine also different points in the supply chain?
Absolutely. So everywhere that you, demand forecasting, pricing, everywhere that folks today, there are columns missing from everyone's internal analytics. So every place, for example, demand forecasting, you understand your own numbers in your business. It's a bit like driving by looking in the rearview mirror. What about the competitor's sales? And so every place that there's a piece about where analytics are happening off of driving based off your own data, there's an opportunity to add in an external component to see the rest of the market, to see the rest of what consumers are doing and your customers are doing.
What's your biggest challenge right now?
We have a good problem. Demand has exceeded supply. So we've had inbound from every industry. And so we're in the process of the productization across different verticals.
What I found interesting when I was reading about covariance is the way you actually came up with the initial thinking, and you were looking at a specific data set from Netflix.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite cool, actually, and maybe you could help share that story, because that was really the starting point for all of this.
Yeah, so this is a drill down of both, hey, what are companies, predict a company's earnings or sales, things like that, but drill down into, from there into, what is someone buying at a store from a company? So for example, from a bill total, if you just, hey, I spent, X dollars at Netflix or Y dollars at Chipotle, could we infer what that person bought? So infer the products purchased based off of just the total. So this is a disaggregation problem. You receive some aggregate spend, and you want to disaggregate it into all the items on the receipt. So in the Netflix example, it turns out we were able to detect actually what looked like soft launches of their testing products that weren't advertised yet. And so you're able, this is super interesting from a competitive tracking standpoint. What's my competitor doing and not talking about? And then from a customer standpoint, hey, I want to understand what key price points are, at a competitor. I understand, your own numbers, but at my competitor, what price points are folks reacting to? What is the decomposition of bill totals and folks into a basket of understanding?
What worries you most about this space? What keeps you up at night?
I'd say the education. I think there's a road ahead of the education of and where of what to do with these data sets. So what we often see and what often goes wrong, we've seen folks make informing billion-dollar decisions off directionally wrong information. So if you just take raw material, like third-party data, panel data, it has all of the problems just mentioned, bias and all these things. And if you just use that in a decision, things can go terribly wrong. And so what you see at firms on Wall Street that have spent annually, there are individual firms that might spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year on data and people process it. And so that doesn't exist. This is what we're then providing to folks who don't, democratizing. But what goes wrong is folks not understanding the 100 steps that have to happen between raw material and decision making. That's where we fit.
And finally, if you fast forward 5 years, what do you see?
So the next 5 years, I'd say 5 to 20 years, you're going to start to see that, and there are already some of the most innovative companies are already adopting and buying and have data acquisition departments and internal teams starting to look into external analytics. So what's happened in the last 20 years is going to start people looking inwards. Everyone's going to start looking increasingly outwards. It's a harder problem. So it's going to be not small matter not small matter of data science, but there's a lot of innovation that needs to happen and transformation has to happen along.
Michael Flair, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bravo to covariants. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Last year, I actually was messing about with all the different AIs out there, and everyone was going crazy, and I came across DID. And because I was a former television presenter, I thought to myself, maybe I can use one of their avatars to present the news. So I wonder how that's going to work, because what that is going to do for me is, it means no hair and makeup. It means no roots. It means no commute to a studio, no lighting, no producers, no editing, no logging, a little bit of uploading. But I thought this has got to be a shortcut to where you can actually produce entire news programs, spend more time, they'll give me back my time to write better scripts. So I went on DID and I uploaded my video. And guess what? It said, no, you cannot upload this video because you are attempting to upload the likeness of a famous person. I was quite upset by this, so as someone alluded to earlier, someone will just try find another way to beat it. And I kept uploading different pictures, reversing an age, and it didn't actually work. First I was mad, then I realized, oh yeah, this is actually a really good thing, particularly with the hijacking of people's images, all the fake news out there, and the disinformation. So I ended up, at the end of my day, really appreciating what Gil Perry, the founder and CEO of DID, did. And so thank you, I think. I found another way around it to do it. Eventually I did it the right way. So ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to DID's founder, Gil Perry, and to invite Sunil to give him an award. I couldn't help myself.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much, and congratulations to you. Does everyone need an avatar?
Yes, this is the future. This is what we predict. I'll tell you a little bit about what we are doing.
Please.
So DID is the leading platform for the responsible creation of digital humans, of avatars, for real-time conversations. And I emphasize on the real-time conversations. Maybe a good example, Ethan actually showed in one of the first talks today, an avatar, and I was surprised to see it was created in our platform. So, but you can speak with them, not like Ethan showed. Why is it important to create avatar?
Just explain that a little bit when you say you can speak with them. How would we practically go about using it and integrating it in our lives?
So I'll take a step back. We heard today that our world has changed. Totally. It's changing very, very fast. And what is this change? This change, if you want to focus, the change is our large language models. That's the change. Everyone are using them, everyone are going to use them, and companies. But what's the problem? We are humans, right? We are interacting now face to face. It's nicer. You guys came here to see the people speak. You wouldn't want to chat with the people, right? If you want to learn, teach, engage with your clients, if you want to sell, then a video with a person and the right person is much better results than text or audio. And actually not a video, a conversation, an interaction will bring you the best results. And that's where the idea comes into the story. We are the interface of large language models. Interfaces have remained stagnant since the 80s. Until now, the idea is going to change that. And we have a big vision. And the vision is to replace GUI, graphical user interface, with NUI, natural user interface. So this is what we do, and that's why it's important.
So from GUI to NUI, how will that impact different industry, like entertainment, like marketing, customer service, news gathering and reporting?
Okay, so it will impact all of them a lot. I was surprised to learn from one of the two top VCs that the prediction is that this market of digital avatars is going to reach $500 billion by 2032. I don't know if it's real. Entertainment, first, we all heard, no, this is disrupting, such technologies are disrupting Hollywood. But I'll talk about what DID does. We focus on, we're a B2B company, we focus on enterprises. And from this huge market, we are focusing on the customer interaction part. So from the first phase, awareness, marketing, and then sales and support success, etc. And we focus even more now, all the focus goes to marketing. And I'll give you an example. Imagine you want to create a video ad for your company. So what do? You bring actors, employees, you film them, right? Like you explained. But no, there is no need, right? You can just do it at the click of a button using our tech if you have the authorization and such, because we are very careful on that regard. So you created a video without actors. Now, why don't you create 1,000 versions of this video at the click of a button using our studio and A/B test them, and then choose the best performing ad? That's already a lot of a good increase in revenue. Okay, you can do that, but you should not stop there. Why don't you create 300 million versions, super personalized versions, for each one of the US citizens, where the CEO or the presenter calls you by your name? And you should not stop there, because why not use tech and such technology to make it in all the different languages? So each one will hear and see the presenter or the CEO or the news anchor speaking their native language. So all of this is feasible today using our platform. We created, bless you, 180 million digital humans for our enterprise clients, mainly Fortune 2000, but different companies, SMBs and enterprises. And what's coming soon, very soon, is real-time translation. Okay, so for example, this is live stream now. If someone would want to not just hear, but see me speak in their native language, Japanese, Deutsch, whatever, they can just press a button and do it. So imagine live webinars and such. And finally, DID agents. We recently launched it. It leverages RAG technology. So it's grounded. You probably heard about this today. RAG, you should use it.
Just explain retrieval augmented generation and how you're, I mean, there's a baseline of that knowledge here, but how are you actually deploying RAG into your apparatus?
Okay, and this is the time that we have, right? So we have I'll take a step back. It's interesting. We saw this happening like 5 years ago. We saw this future that there will be a brain. It will say what you want according to the organization's data. The human will look like you, it will look real, and it will be in real time. And it was very far. But we imagined the point where, like the inflection point where it's now, that everything will connect. Okay, and it all started connecting a year ago very, very fast, but the LLMs, they were what we all know now and call hallucinations, right? It just said things that you didn't expect and not related to your organization's data. Okay, then came this new type of technology, RAG, which enables you basically to use the LLM, not to fine-tune it, but to focus it on the most relevant data context according to your question, and we leveraged it existing tech stack of other companies. We improved it a little bit for the latency and for the retrieval that it will be suit our needs. And so now you can basically upload documents or your website or a presentation, choose an avatar, and in no time you'll get an avatar that you can speak with in real time about your organization's data. And you can put it on your websites, and it's beautiful to see it now going viral in many websites. Very soon, it's already happening, but very, very soon it will start to replace the tedious part of SDR's work. Okay, so it gathers your information, it skips all the qualification part, and you can just converse with it, and it sends the information to, yeah.
No, so just finish your thought.
So this is something very exciting that we recently launched, the AD agents. You can converse with this digital unit in real time according to the data that you uploaded.
One thing that comes up a lot when I'm talking to colleagues in the news media, in newsrooms around the world, particularly here in the US, preparing for elections. And the biggest fear they have is deepfakes, disinformation, misinformation. And one of the scenarios that all the major networks here are gaming out is the misuse of their anchors as avatars to start reporting news that is not real. And I'm curious, because your platform, amongst 2 or 3 others that I'm familiar with, create these pretty great avatars. So how do you think about that? And particularly because you're on the forefront of the responsible and ethical AI.
So, perfect question. It's something that we think about all the time. Not all the actors are focusing enough on that, I think. I hope that there will be more focus on that. So we take a lot of measures, as you saw. Okay, we created 180 million such avatars, and I saw one case where it was like bad, inappropriate content. Just so you know, the idea started. I actually met one of the winners a long time ago, Joy. The idea started by protecting against face recognition. The idea is short for de-identification. We started from the privacy space, and we pivoted, and we promised ourselves it will still be our DNA, doing good and taking the industry to the right direction. So, and we brought to the team some of the world's top experts in security, privacy and ethics, like the developer of the RSA algorithm, the developer of the privacy by design concept, the former chief privacy officer at Microsoft, and such. And we developed guardrails and tools that will prevent such things. So,
like what?
For example, like you experienced, you just could not do it. You could not upload your video, and so moderation tools, inappropriate text, inappropriate audio, pornographic, harmful, political, etc. We put a watermark, and we are now working also with one of the tech giants to build what we call the DID Guardrail Integrity Suite, which is going to be the most protected avatar solution in the world.
Who are you building it with?
With one of the...
Which one?
So,
okay, you don't have to if you can't. But you can if you would like.
No, so we are collaborating with many groups, and hopefully soon I'll be able to announce some of them. But basically, in this solution, it's going to be involved with the invisible watermarks and the KYC process, and you'll have to make a video of yourself and do that. What?
And invisible watermarks, and do you work with metadata or some kind of a way?
I'm not getting to the bits and bytes, but if it's now super hard, it's going to be almost impossible, plus a red team all the time, to create anything. But even more than that, let's say you created your avatar with us. We approved. Now you want to make sure that someone else will not steal it, right, and use it. So this we will protect from that as well.
And how do you protect a person who uploads their image onto DID? And how do we know where our facial recognition, our motions are? You know, I had to move my arms a certain way, I had to speak for a period of time. How do you protect me as a customer and my privacy?
Okay, so as far as I mentioned, we have some of the world's top privacy experts in the world, people that invented what is called privacy by design. We don't store anything. No, business model was GDPR compliance in the past, so nothing is stored. And basically, like you use a social network, you should understand the risks. I think you can feel secure in our platform better than the social network where people throw all their photos.
And last question for you, what excites you the most about when you look ahead in the next few years in the text to avatar, video to avatar space?
Okay, so what excites me the most is I see already the value that we bring to our partners, increasing revenue fast, stopping people from doing tedious things and focus on what's important in the work, on the hard things that we humans can do. And our agent solution is very, very soon. So we start from the customer interaction journey. Okay? We start from the start, from the awareness part. Also marketing organizations, they are early adopters of AI, but this is increasing the lead gen process. And I'm excited already to see how it increases. What excites me are the next phases that digital human is going to sell. And later on, it's going to help you use the product and answer support questions. So it excites me to lead the market to the right direction, or the customer interaction part, and to be the leader in this space and partner with some tech giants, which we respect the work and help. Rather than that, on a side, other markets that we are less focused, but they're going to be disrupted, education. This is going to change education, right? We have a lack of teachers in the world, not enough teachers, and for sure, this is the future of education, large language models, but our kids should have something to look at, not chat only, and this will enable teachers to stop teaching. They will be able to educate. Same as healthcare. There is lack of people. We're now part of a big project to help people with PTSD. So we will do the triage. There is not enough people to do it, and it will be without us. So these things really excite me.
Thank you very much. A warm round of applause for the real Gil Perry. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Gil. Thank you very much to both of you for sharing your story with us, and congratulations again to all the winners, and thanks to all of you for being here and being a part of the inaugural Cubies inaugural ceremony.